Hello, friends. My name is Brad Beard, owner and winemaker for Mercury Wine, located in downtown Geyserville, California, in the heart of the Alexander Valley, one of the premier growing regions in the world. And today I'm going to be talking about my 2015 Messenger. It is a Cabernet Reserve. It is what I would consider a left bank Bordeaux style wine. We're going to get into talking about that today, amongst a few other things. Where is Bordeaux? What grapes are grown in Bordeaux. And if you've heard all this before, when I'm talking about Bordeaux, we're going to put down in the description. You can jump ahead and get right to the actual tasting. But let's talk about the wine a little bit before we talk about Bordeaux. So this is my 2015 Dry Creek Reserve Cabernet. It is 95% Cabernet Sauvignon. It is 3% Cabernet Franc and 2% Petit Verdot. Those other wines are getting a little more structure and adding some texture in the background. We aged this wine in predominantly because the Cabernet was exclusively aged in neutral and new French oak. But the Cabernet Franc had a little bit of American, and so did the Petit Verdot. So mainly neutral and new French oak. We produced about 96 cases of this wine. And since it was 2015, that was the end of our drought. So that made this wine a little more special. And I'll talk about that when we actually start talking about the wine, because as with where the grape was grown, what happened that year as far as temperature and all those kind of things make a huge difference. So let's talk about Bordeaux. So Bordeaux is a pretty dang big grape growing region for France, probably one of the most well-known grape growing regions. It's also known for having two rivers running through it. If you're looking at the map on the upper, closer to the norther side, it is a river that is called a Dordogne, and the Dordogne is running along and having some fun, and it comes along a city called Livourne, and that area in that city in particular is dominated by a certain grape, and that would be Merlot. So when I'm talking about Bordeaux or Bordeaux style most likely means elegance, subtlety, nuance, and using all Bordeaux noble grapes. The noble grapes are Cabernet, Merlot, Petit Verdot, Cab Franc, and Malbec. But as we're heading downriver, you're coming downriver from the interior of the country out to the ocean. You have a right bank and a left bank. On the right bank, you have the right bank of Bordeaux. So when I'm talking about that, I'd be specifically talking about a Merlot-based wine with background players of Cabernet, Cab Franc, and so on. So the other river that's a little more important to this wine, because this wine I consider a left bank, is the Gargonne. And the Gargonne is a very large growing region that's split in two. To the south, as you're heading down the river again, so you're heading downriver, you're following the flow towards the ocean. Your left bank would be what we're talking about. So all the grapes grown on the left bank side of there. It's just a good thing to know. So when people are talking about that, but in at the beginnings of the river, before you get too close, or in the southern regions, you've got mainly white grapes, and you've got sweet white grapes, you've got sauternes. In that area, they consider the Graves, not the Graves, the Graves region of France. We're going to be talking about the north, and it's broken up into a couple different regions, but it's mainly known as the Medoc. And in the Medoc, on the left bank of the river, we are going to consider that a Cabernet country. So mainly Cabernet is going to be the grape that is going to be the base blend for whatever style they're going for. But dominant Cabernet, a little Merlot, a little Petit Verdot, maybe a little Cabernet Franc, maybe a little Malbec, maybe. It's up to them. Typically, it will be mainly Cabernet with a good splash of Merlot, and then they may end up adding a couple of those others. This one just has the three, like I was saying. So Bordeaux is definitely known for its reds. It is 90% red grapes that are grown throughout the entire Bordeaux region. So let's get to this wine. All right, we've decided it is a Bordeaux-inspired wine. It is mainly Cabernet and has a little splash of Cabernet Franc and Petit Verdot. Let's get into this. It has a just off deep, almost medium ruby color to it. This is a 2015. We're already in 2021. We're not showing any signs of oxidation because we did build these wines to last, even though I did let this wine sit in the barrel for pretty much 3 years, kind of depending on the year and how the wine was going. And as in my other rocket video, I did open this up about an hour or so before and wrote down my thoughts, and just so we can see where this wine goes. So you've got that beautiful, nice rich cherry in color. And when I say Bordeaux style, I'm looking for a wine that's a little more relaxed, not quite as aggressive as in a classic, let's say American Cabernet, where they jam a lot of oak in there and then they really extract that wine and make it incredibly intense. I like mine a little bit more on the luxurious side. That being said, 2015 was the end of the drought, and this wine started out aggressive from the day we picked it. Intense cherries, both black and a classic red cherry, a little bit of violet. Not a lot of spice. I'm not detecting any real oaky flavors or vanilla. But these the aromatics are pretty intense. Leads me to think this wine was a little bit younger than it is. But like I said, the wine was born more aggressive than my typical ones that I create. To me, it really smells and tastes like what you should expect out of a Cabernet. Really good structure. You should, like a Merlot can be a little more round or full bodied and silky. This wine has more structure. Cabernet, Cabernet Franc give you really good structure. And what structure means to me is that it tells a story as it's gliding across the palate, not like a Zinfandel where it could be explosive here or explosive there, come back around in different flavors. So you've got that wonderful dominant cherry, black cherry, running through. I start picking up the tannins in the mid palate. As I'm breathing through this wine, I'm noticing a little more acid up front. Acid is still very strong in this wine, and as this wine ages, those acids and tannins are going to wane a little bit and allow a little bit more fruit to come forward. But right now, this classic Cabernet cherry, maybe a hint of plum running in there, violets. Beautiful long finish. The tannins are there. They're very noticeable, but they aren't those grippy tannins that sort of try to rip your tongue out. Absolutely could stand a little bit of fat. Fat always balances your tannins. So this one, you can go into talking about some foods. You go into your more richer cheeses. I still like hard cheeses, even though there's not a high perception of fat there. That saltiness that is created by like a nice Parmesan or something like that. Those bursts of salt really act well with the Cabernet. Classic red meat pairing would be your ribeye or something along those notes. I would absolutely do a New York with this, but I would definitely do it in a pan, build up that fond, throw it in the oven, pull it out, make a really nice, rich red wine butter sauce, maybe a little bit of cream, and that extra butter and that extra cream will balance the leaner piece of meat so that you have that nice, rich fat that goes across your tongue, and then that fat allows the acids and the tannins to balance out, and then the acids and tannins scrub that fat off, and then you can taste the wine again on the next go. Just a classic. It smells like northern Sonoma County. Sonoma County smells like typically if you're getting a Sonoma County Cabernet, although some people are making them a little more like they do in Napa, where you're going to smell more oak and more aggressive just things. This wine just has wonderful cherry notes running through. Really expresses itself as a wonderful northern Sonoma County Cabernet. Very different between my 14 and my 16. My 14, much more elegant and approachable up front. I probably wouldn't pair that one with a really fatty dish because it's already becoming a lot more elegant. It was just the year made it more aggressive, but I don't manipulate my wines. If that's what Mother Nature gives me, that's what I do. So there you have it. There's my thoughts and impressions. No, that's not exactly what I opened this wine up a little while ago. Let's see if I had said anything different. All right, we've got the same color. That didn't change. That's really good. Actually, I said it was an intense, complex cherry up front. Maybe adding a little bit of black cherry, but a ripe black cherry. That sounds legit. On the mid palate, cherry and violets. That was there. But I think since this wine was open an hour or so before, the flavors weren't so intense. So again, if you've got a wine that presents to you and your specific palate, and it presents on your first taste as a little aggressive, let it open up a little bit. Swirl it in the glass. Pour another glass. Let the wine open up, and then enjoy it 15, 20 minutes later when all those more aggressive flavors obtained. And I've got vibrant cherries with the black cherry on the finish. And then I said I should absolutely pair it with some fatty dishes. So that was pretty close. It just wasn't as intense on the nose. There's the end. All right, guys, thank you so much. Can't wait to see you. We've still got a few cases of this. It's not on the tasting menu at all, in that it's a 15. Our current vintage right now that we are showing is a 16, if we were allowed to actually taste people on it. But we're still blocked now. So as soon as we can get out of that, we would love to have you guys up and give us a taste. Thanks. See you soon.